There were definitely, really starting from me, folks who were cautious about the deployment, because you've got to have that infrastructure around data, as an example. You've got to have a good case management system. You've got to have a sense of who your customer is and what you want them to feel before you start experimenting on them. We didn't just go from 0 to 100. We were very, very thoughtful on this journey, and because we had a lot to lose.
Today, I'm speaking with Skander Malcolm, CEO and Managing Director of OFX, a global payments company. Skander brings over 30 years of experience in financial services and technology, leading organizations through transformation and innovation. Welcome, Skander. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you, Leandro.
Why don't you tell us, for the folks that don't know, how does the digital and human support model work for your day-to-day clients?
Sure. So OFX moves about $40 billion a year around the world. And clearly that's not going to be all done by humans. And in fact, our customers and our clients, they generally prefer all of that to be done digitally. About 88% of our clients and about 90% of the volume is all done digitally. And we've spent a lot of time and effort figuring out what's the best digital experience to do that. Obviously, you're thinking trust, you're thinking speed, you're thinking innovation, but fundamentally it's all got to work and be easy to use. What we've also learned from customers over the years is the larger the amount, the more they could get anxious. And
it's real money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it means a lot. You might only do it, a couple of times in your lifetime. You're not necessarily very familiar with it. And that's where a human comes in. What they love about our humans, and we've got over 250 people around the world who deal directly with our customers, is the expertise, the reassurance, explaining things that aren't necessarily clear, especially if something goes wrong. So we call that digital plus human, and we find it's a really powerful combination of getting things done consistently, low cost, fast, but also with that human touch when you want it.
Yeah, I remember that first time I made a test payment because I'm like, it's an Australian company, I trust them, but is it going to land, right?
Yes.
And I got a call straight away, which had an Aussie on the other end of the line, and I'm like, this makes me feel better. This is going to work, right? Because it's true, right? You don't know.
And that, to be blunt, is another part of the whole mix, is we have people all around the world. And when you hear it in your accent or in your time zone, it just produces a little bit of empathy and a little bit of trust, and then you can get into solving problems or getting the job done.
So OFX has gone through a transformation now. So customers like myself, foreign exchange was where you started, and that's how I interacted with you. But you're now moving. You're a modern SaaS company supporting SMBs with end-to-end financial transactions. Tell us a little bit about that and why the change.
Yeah, well, the biggest reason is customers were changing. We strategically felt that our best opportunity for success was serving SMB clients all around the world. And when we started talking to them in detail about how we served them, a few of them kind of made the point that you are so awesome on getting the payment from A to B or from B to C, but there are all these jobs that happen before we make that payment. And the more we reflected on that, obviously this is where software can really help a client. And our software stack was pretty minimal. We really felt we had a great service ethic, but we didn't really have a software stack that could support what our clients wanted to do as SMBs. And so we embarked upon this transformation to say, how does the software support this idea that SMBs have more jobs to do? And the more we got into it, what we found was they were saying, if you can solve for these jobs and then the payment as well, that's pretty special.
Yes.
And so now we're kind of more into sort of AP integration, expense management. We let people issue virtual cards. And all of those things kind of hang together with the software. It still requires a human to kind of help them get set up and get started. But we're already seeing from a transformation perspective, interestingly, it's having a big effect on our own staff as well. I've just got back from Canada, where the team recently launched in April, and I was amazed by how the same people who were used to selling FX were now talking about AP and integrations and how do we get into QuickBooks and various other software that our clients love. And so that's really what our transformation's been all about.
So interesting. Talking about your people there, how have you enabled the transformation for them as well? What else have you done to make their life easier?
Yeah. Well, this is really where Salesforce comes in. One of the challenges about being a global company is helping our employees see a single picture of that client experience. It's hard enough to train on all these new products, this new platform, but it's near impossible if everything is disaggregated. So we came to Salesforce and said, how do we connect up our marketing, our service, our commercial, all in a single stack, all in a view for them, so that when they're serving clients, which is their moment of truth, what they come into work for, it's just easy to do their jobs. And that's really been a big investment for us. It's helped our employees do their jobs, find it, productive as well as fun.
Yeah, the single source of truth, we like to refer to it, or the unified profile.
Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of businesses feel they have it, but they end up having it in departments. So customer service has all the information about customer service, but maybe don't know that there's an active conversation to potentially sell some of your other products. Or, we confess some of the marketers don't know that there's maybe a customer issue going on, right? At the same time, so maybe you don't want to be trying to send them something that's upselling when they've got an issue with their existing one. Has there been any feedback on that? Obviously, that's a journey now that's coming. Did that take some cultural change as well within the company?
For sure, because to your point, you do have to have different departments. People might have a particular set of jobs that they're covering for clients, like customer service, and that might be different, obviously, to marketing, which is, again, different to the commercial conversations. So each of those departments used to have a system which basically they knew how it worked. So any change to that system, was kind of painful.
Yeah.
And so how we went about that is we kind of said, look, think of the customer as the North Star. How do we make your job in serving that customer a lot easier and more connected? Because if you're in customer service, and to your point, marketing sends messages which don't make sense, and then you've got to clean it up, that doesn't really work. And similarly, if you're a commercial person and someone in customer service gives a bad bit of advice or doesn't fix a problem, it makes your job harder. So we kind of brought it together between our product, technology, and teams and said, how do we design this so it hangs together for the various different departments? And that just took a lot of training, a lot of clarity around what we wanted it to look like in the end for the customer, for our employees. And we've worked very hard to get it out and about.
Well, I love what you said there around starting with the customer. We always say we put the customer at the center because, frankly, they don't know your internal org chart, right?
Yeah.
They've got
or
something.
Care.
No, right? We were too busy to do that. And so I love your thinking there of, keeping them as the North Star, because at the end of the day, they want to do something, they want to transact, or they want to expand their offering with you. And you just want to make it easy for him. So I guess that's going to sort of get us into the next part here around Agentforce, Data Cloud.
Yeah.
We know that data is expanding. It's going in many different places. So can you talk a little bit about how you're using Data Cloud to help you bring that unified profile together? And then we'll get into AI as well.
Sure. So the first thing to say about Data Cloud, we started with Data Cloud and thinking more about our data organization, data governance, all of those things before we built any of the kind of other products, because having well-organized data, having data that made sense, data that was clean, was really, if you like, a platform investment before we got into what the front end could look like. And so then we got and said, okay, now if we're going to take all the instances of this data and make them simple and accessible, what are we going to do with it? And that's really where Data Cloud helped us to connect, as you said, the sales, the marketing, the customer experience, and bring that together so that our employees and so that our customers could see the connections and make it all kind of work much more seamlessly. That was a really, really big investment. And then obviously Agentforce was then on top of that, because we said, okay, how are we going to help our customer service or marketing people access this and do it in a logical way, so that, again, in the delivery of the service, it kind of makes sense. You don't get all this repeat. There's also these strange dyssynergies that happen in global companies. You might recognize that in Salesforce, where someone in a different part of the world is looking at something that might look a little different or feel a little different, or there might be different categories of data, or it might be described differently. But in our model, we're 24/7. So if a customer in Australia calls and it's Canada opening hours, our agents in Toronto or Edmonton need to be able to pick up that phone and see that real-time data, make those decisions, serve the client, get it done in a way that makes sense to them. So we did a lot of work in connecting up our 24/7 model with people all around the world.
It's refreshing to hear that come from a CEO. Usually that's the CIO saying that and having to convince the leadership. Tell me a little bit then about some of those data sources, because obviously you have a lot in Salesforce, you've got other systems as well.
Yeah.
Maybe for the viewers, just help unpack, like, what are some of those important sources there?
Yeah, so we're collecting data on all of the interactions that customers are having with us. So they may be quoting on our website, they might be looking at marketing material, they might be on various competitor websites even, where we're actually having a look at inferences around behaviour. We're also now wrapping up case management so that we're seeing, okay, these are the ways they interacted with us. This is what we did to solve various problems with that. We'd bring it all together, and then we're saying, okay, how do we serve that to our agents as well? And we'll get into the AI conversation, but clearly that's an opportunity for us, again, just to make our employees' lives a lot easier, because frankly, in financial services, there is a bit of complexity and you can't just know it all. So serving up the right bit of data, the right information to our employees helps, again, us serve our clients a little bit better.
Now, I've held back on the AI conversations because most of these chats these days are just going right into there. But I think it's important, the foundation you set. Where does it go next? How do you deliver better customer service now and start to leverage AI?
Yeah. So, by the way, our CTO is going to love watching this, because he's been a huge proponent, as has our marketing teams over the years, around how we take the data and intelligently use it. So basically the way we've thought about the AI piece is, how do you take all of this data and organize it and then just deploy it quickly to solve a customer problem, put simply. So we've used it, for example, in a whole bunch of jobs that don't necessarily require a human, like bank reconciliations. And we got started with that. We saved a lot of money that way, and we thought, okay, what else could we speed up for a customer? Now we're starting to see it in things like case management, where again, we're analysing what actually happened with the customer on the journey before they even called us, to provide what's the next best prompt for our agents or customer service people. How do we take that data and then make the employees' lives better, as well as the clients' lives? We have tested various things as well, which are kind of pure AI. I would say at this stage they're fairly nascent experiments. But the fact is they're definitely learning, which is the whole point of the model. And we're finding that it's actually creating a more intelligent workforce, ironically, not just providing sort of faster service, because you can access all this information very, very quickly, and you can give that information to a client either directly through the software or through a voice if that's what the customer prefers.
Right. No, fascinating. Do you have a view on, I guess, you're leading the way here, changing how you're serving your customers. Do you have a view of where you think the customer will be in the future? Like you mentioned, what was it, 88% digital? Do you think that's going to change that mix, or people are going to crave humans? Like where do you think it is going to go?
I think, for a long time, customers say, deal with me the way I want to be dealt with. It was unimaginable 20 years ago that you could serve all these jobs up and integrate them digitally. So you couldn't imagine the fact that a customer would say, I prefer digital, because there was no digital. But what you could say was, if you can make it simple for me, then it should be digital, for example. And I think that, that is a bit of a human way of thinking about it. We like some jobs and we don't like other jobs. We get anxious about some things and not about other things. And what's interesting is that humans today, at least, are still the best at reducing anxiety. But you can prevent anxiety if you do the job well and quickly. We are part of a huge global ecosystem, obviously. There's a lot of money moving around the world. There's a lot of banks. There's a lot of counterparties. There's a lot of moving parts. So today, there's just a lot of opportunity for defect. And if the software can solve it, that's what a customer prefers, no doubt about it. But as soon as it goes wrong, our experience has been a human does a better job at solving that. But that could evolve, as it has done, in the last 20 years. We'll see.
Now, you've talked about everything that's been possible. You seem like a very progressive CEO from a technology point of view. Were there any naysayers on the exec team? Anyone saying this is not the right way or this is too expensive? Like, tell me a little bit about the friction that you experienced.
By the way, everyone would laugh if I was described as a progressive
well, I'm labeling you there.
CEO. In fact, if you look at my LinkedIn, I say, hopeless technologist. But there were definitely, really starting from me, folks who are cautious about the deployment, because you've got to have that infrastructure around data, as an example. You've got to have a good case management system. You've got to have a sense of who your customer is and what you want them to feel before you start experimenting on them. And so I wouldn't say we were the first to market. In fact, we've been investing pretty hard for the better part of 5 years, and we're only now really starting to accelerate that investment and make it real for customers. So yeah, we didn't just go from 0 to 100. We were very, very thoughtful on this journey, and because we had a lot to lose. There's a lot of customers who, like you, love the OFX service. They find that very, very hard to replicate. A lot of companies have great software but don't have great people, or they have great people but not great software. So we were very, very careful on that, if you like, trust we already had, the goodwill we already had.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess talking about customers and then yourselves, what are the outcomes? Any outcomes that you've been proud to be able to share with all of this transformation?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, we're seeing case management be much more productive. So I'm looking at, for example, the wait times on calls, the call indexes, which is the number of calls per case, significantly improve. So there has been tremendous progress, and we're so excited because we really feel like we've been very methodical, but now, brakes are off.
Let's
rip.
Go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next then? If you've taken this measured approach, there's a lot going now. Is there a vision of something coming up, or is it just perfecting what you have now?
There's a lot more in the works.
Okay.
We really do think that, especially if you're an SMB, you've got a lot of these jobs which are very painful to connect up. And so for us particularly, there's going to be a lot of work around integrations. We think AI can do a lot of those integrations. For now, for example, when we're thinking about a prospect, we're looking at their tech stack, we're looking at their number of employees, we're looking at their locations to make much more intelligent sort of suggestions about how you could work with us. Our teams are only just getting used to the new software, but they're already coming up with new ways to deploy it. So I think you'll see OFX be much more digital, much more AI, but none of the loss of that digital plus human, because we know that people all around the world love to deal with a person when it really counts. So that's what you'll see.
I love that. Well, look, in closing, I'm going to give you a two-parter here. You mentioned teams. There might be some people listening to this going, well, what do I need to be doing to lean into this kind of transformation if I might be seeing it at my company? But then at the same time, you might have some leaders going, I'm a bit behind, right? How should I get going, or what should I be doing? So could you take boboth sides of that?
Yeah, sure. So the overarching principle is this journey is not getting put back in the bottle. So if you're a little intimidated, I get it. I've only really started using the tools myself for about a year, but it's, there's no turning back. If you're a team, if you're thinking about it, again, what worked for us was the North Star was the customer. What exactly are you trying to do as a team for your customer? That kind of can simplify things, because we can all get a little obsessive about our own internal processes, and these tools are very powerful. It's like a flamethrower or something, but you should apply it to the biggest problem, and typically the customer ranks highest in our organization. I think for leaders, again, it's figuring out, okay, your narrative around how you're going to deploy it. Why do you want to get into it? You certainly should try and resist the hype. And there are certainly some vendors out there or partners who are trying to drive all this hype. But if you step back as a leader and say, what can I do for my employees? What can I do for my clients? What can I do to make the company more productive? I'd say that's where you're going to start to figure out, okay, this is my path. This is where I make a start. And that's, frankly, been the OFX experience.
Well, I love that. So, Skander, firstly, thank you for being an amazing customer. Thank you for the services as being a customer myself. And, good luck on the rest of the journey. I think there's going to be some exciting things coming. So let's just keep watching this space.
Awesome, Leandro. We love your support. Thank you so much.